This is Jim's Little Boat, and I'm Jim. Well, we brought the boat home a couple of days ago, best sail of the season. It's sitting in the shelter on the trailer, and in this video we're going to show you how I jack it up. I like to have it on blocks during the winter time so it's easier to work on and I can crawl under the bottom and that sort of thing. So a couple of safety issues. Number one, my liability is limited to exactly what you paid me personally to watch this video. Number two, I've done this 6 or 7 times and I've never encountered a problem, but every situation is different. The number one safety issue is do not get yourself between the boat and the hard ground. If it falls, it falls. Don't let it fall on you. Number two, don't get yourself between the boat and the trailer. If it falls on the trailer, no harm done. If it falls on your arm, very bad. 2,400 pounds of boat. And the final safety thing I want to stress is it's probably safest if you do this by yourself. My wife always wants me to get some help. I believe that it's safer because I don't have to worry about who's where, who's moving what. Every single move is made by me. I can go as slow as I want. Everything is calculated and thought out. So with that all said, let's go ahead and jack this boat up off the trailer. We've got the boat nicely positioned inside the shed. My friend Tony got it in there on his very first try, and I snugged up the ladder, the stairway. Next thing we'll do is lower the trailer tongue all the way down to the ground. We've lowered the trailer jack down about as low as it can go. Let's go to the back. Transom cradle into position. It's under the transom as snug as we can get it. The bottom of the V matches the bottom of the keel, and I have my 2 side blocks. Everything looks pretty secure. Let's go with that. Here's that all-important oak beam that belongs to my neighbor. Next thing we'll do is put that on top of the trailer frame under the bow. The length of the beam is vitally important. It's got to be long enough so that when you pull the trailer out, it will clear the fenders, plus you have to have enough room on each end for a stack of cribbing 4x4s. This beam is just barely long enough, so we're going to use a tape measure on each side to center and verify that it's centered. The beam is centered. And if you're keeping track of such things, it happens to be 112 inches long. I lay 3 pieces of cribbing down under the beam and I line them up so that the outside of the middle piece lines up exactly with the end of the beam, thusly. But of course that would be too much cribbing, so I pull out the middle piece and start building my pile on the other side. At this point, I've stacked up all the cribbing I need. I think I can go 11 blocks high, and as I remember last year, that was my goal. I added a couple of more 4x4s from a fence job I finished last week. Hi, I'm back. I was out of town for 3 or 4 days, went to Washington, D.C. for a Vietnam veterans ceremony that honored fallen vets and those of us that are still alive. Anyway, that kind of interrupted our schedule of jacking up the boat. I don't have a lot of time today, so I'm just going to add some bracing to the transom support, and then we'll get on with the blocking next time. We'll just fasten these 1x4s to the transom support, like so. 2 screws on each one. We'll do that to both sides. Then we'll drive some metal stakes. And add a screw or 2. Probably not necessary, but it couldn't hurt. This is earthquake country. We don't need anything shifting back and forth once the boat's up in the air. It's been 4 days in real time since I put the braces on the back end of the boat, It's Saturday. I'm hoping to get this whole thing done today because I want to clean off the bottom as soon as I can. Before you begin jacking up the boat, you're going to need a bottle jack. It's going to need to have a 4-inch throw right here. It's got to be bigger than your biggest piece of blocking so we can jack it up and slide it under. Before I get started, I'm going to climb up in the boat and raise the keel up off the trailer. Alrighty, let's start jacking this puppy up. Now we'll do the other side. Here's a hint. Raise the jack up a little bit. That way when you want to lower it down, it'll be easier to turn that than push down on the cylinder. We're a couple of blocks up in the air and you can see the boat is off the forward roller. It's not off the bunks yet though. At this point we have 6 pieces of cribbing under each side of the beam. The boat is certainly clear of the forward roller. We'll jack it up a few more blocks and look at it again. At this point we're 7 blocks high. We've got great separation at the bow and we're starting to have separation along the bunks. We're not totally there yet. And if we look way down there, we can see that the keel is above the V-block. So things are progressing nicely. We're 8 blocks of cribbing high, working slow, working methodical, no helpers. Never get yourself between the boat and anything hard, and that includes the cribbing in the beam. But you can see we're almost at full separation. The problem is that the trailer bunks come up in the back, and of course the boat goes down in the bottom, so we have to get sufficient amount of height to clear that when we pull it out. Take a little break and then we'll keep going. Well, here's the truth of the matter. We're 10 blocks high and I know that will work, and I just don't feel very good about going any higher. It seems to me, let's look here at the end, that the beam is wanting to start to roll a little bit, and I wish it were wider. And I know 10 will work. Never ignore those feelings. We're done jacking it up at this point. I've cleared out all the blocking. Now I'm going to jack up the trailer so that the aft part of the bunks will come down lower than the boat, and we'll start rolling it out. Have about the same amount of clearance on both sides, so there's plenty of room to get the trailer out. Well, we're completely clear without incident. 10 blocks was plenty high enough. Now we'll put the big sawhorse in. We're close to finished. This is especially the time to stay calm and methodical and careful. You hear me breathing a little bit. The sawhorse from hell is quite heavy, but it's in position behind the raising beam. Time to lower the boat down onto the sawhorse. I start taking it down. Now notice that the jack is almost fully extended because I want to raise it just a little bit, then back it down 3.5 inches. We just continue taking them down one at a time until we get this boat resting on the big sawhorse. Then we'll have some stabilization things to do. We'll just keep going. Slow and methodical even at this point. We're getting close now. Bottom will be sitting on the sawhorse from hell momentarily. So we're 7 blocks high. The boat is all the way down on the 2x4, or the sawhorse from hell as I like to call it. It's actually a 2x12, and we should be good to go. I will leave the beam and the blocking there. Let's just do a little more in terms of blocking up here in the bow and tie it all down with some straps. We'll leave the beam under as kind of a safety thing, and after all that is done, we'll be ready to wash the bottom. Time to move the trailer out of the way, put a plastic bag over the winch for the winter time, crawl into there, clean things up. Took about 2 hours. No sweat, no strain, no help. I'm not really sure we need to do this, but just for the fun of it, let's put a couple blocks up on the bow just for stout. So I don't know, maybe I have 150 bucks tied up in materials. Remember, the scraps came from building fences. Boat's up in the air. I'm comfortable being under it. It'll stay here all winter long. In April, we'll put 2 coats of ablative, maybe 3, put it back in the water.